Ms. Murphy here?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
I also live in Senator Bates's area. Good afternoon. Thank you for having us here today for Senate Bill 710. My name is Barbara Murphy and I live in Howard County. I am here today requesting your support for Senate Bill 710. In January 2014, my husband and I found ourselves again needing to pay for our son's education after multiple head injuries had occurred to our son at the public school, which included but was not limited to a concussion. Our son's doctor prescribed for our son to attend a private school since the public school was clearly not able to meet his needs and not able to keep him safe. The public school at that time was claiming my son didn't have behaviors that were at the level that would qualify him for needing a behavior plan any longer, and the public school didn't need parental consent to remove the behavior plan. I think it's also important to note that we paid Howard County Public School Systems for copies of our son's files. We later found out that Maryland's Howard County Public School System had withheld 71 pages that we are now aware of. There could be more. This is Howard County we're talking about. That included behavioral data from the period of time in question that listed what I think should definitely have justified the need for a significant behavior plan. The documents concerning his behaviors that the public school had withheld from us included, but was not limited to, climbing on tables, jumping on chairs, running and throwing objects. This is at school in a classroom. Based on my son's IEP, he would have been attending our local public school and sitting in the 5th grade classroom at West Friendship Elementary School with typical peers without any behavior plan, without any behavioral support. Since the public school claimed there was no need for a behavior plan and the public school system didn't need parental consent to remove his behavior plan. Imagine a typical child sitting in their 5th grade classroom at West Friendship Elementary School with a child that had a recent history of significant behaviors and no behavior plan and no behavior support in place. When a school doesn't provide an appropriate behavior plan for a child, the safety of a lot of people could be put at risk in the classroom, including the child with the IEP. Another example for parental consent, the need for the parental consent. My husband and I did not approve for our son that was on a diploma track to be enrolled in what we later found out was an alternative educational program where my son was the only child in the entire school that was on diploma track, and they didn't need parental consent. Multiple times while our son attended the school, when my husband and I asked about why so little time was spent on academics, we were told by the school principal again and again no viable academic options were available for those time periods for him to offer our son academics. So my son, while still diploma track and in 2nd grade, he had less time spent on academics than typical children, and instead his regular school schedule included such things, but was not limited to produce sorting and greenhouse work in 2nd grade. While parents of other 2nd grade students in the same public school system were being asked to send pencils, my husband and I were asked by our son's principal to send work gloves for our 2nd grade child that was listed on diploma track. If a child is too young for a work permit, I think a child should also be considered too young for having areas I think should be considered physical labor on the regular school schedule, but they didn't need parental consent. I feel there have been multiple potentially life-altering choices made by the public school that were allowed to occur for my son because they didn't need parental consent. I hope you will support Senate Bill 710. Also, please support Senate Bill 786 concerning the restraint and seclusion. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Questions, committee?